At 9 o'clock.
It's really busy and I inadvertently yeah.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. We're glad you're here. We got a lot of things going on, so I tried to just throw them up here. Unfortunately, most of it was washed out, so if you we'll just let this roll for a minute while I'm gabbing. A couple of things to be aware of. I got a message from the vice president of the school here. We have never been allowed to leave the doors unlocked, even though we have a little. So as a matter of security, because this is a closed campus, from now on we need to have a greeter at the door, and Don was kind enough to do that for us today. So what that means is Don would like to attend the meeting as well, and at some point he will be here and the door will be locked. We didn't think that through very well today, but I think what we're going to try and do is just post a phone number on the door. It will probably be Don's number. So if you come late and the door's locked, call the number and he'll go get you. Does that make any sense? Mm-hmm. We appreciate the school's generosity in allowing us to meet here. We don't want to lose the site. Not only for this, but for doing our exam sessions, which have been wildly successful lately, by the way, which has been a lot of fun. So let's start off with new folks. And I know we have Tracy here. Come and stand, introduce yourself a little bit.
My name's Tracy Hess. I just got my technician in his last testing session. I'm in his general class right now. It's my first time here. Welcome.
What's your call sign?
KK7ZAG.
ZAG. Okay. So, as you can tell, we had 29 new KK7Z call signs this last time, which means we're about to go to KL7, right? No? What do we go to?
They'll skip KL because KL is Alaska.
Oh.
So we'll go to KM probably.
We'll probably go to KM. Well, it'll be interesting to see what the next round is, because they'll be coming. Others who are new.
I'm Mark Watts, and I'm the same as Tracy, just took an exam, got my call, KK7ZDP. I like to call it, KK7 Zip Data Path.
Zip Data Path. Awesome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
My name is Hayden Mann. I've had my license for quite a few years. Just thought I'd start attending this club here. I moved up to West Haven about 3 years ago.
Okay.
Excited to be here. I'm KJ7LAK.
Welcome. We're glad you're with us. Okay. Go ahead.
I'm Stephen Clark, W7 Bravo Tango Whiskey. I got my novice license 70 years ago.
Well, that'd been about the time I was born.
Well, welcome anyway.
Thank you.
Mark, stand up a minute. Tell us what you did for the club here.
Some wooden turrets. Got the
got some round turrets
along with the phonetic alphabet on the back of it.
So if you ever get tripped up on phonetics, it's right there. So everybody who wants one, they're for you. Just
Then we have to do stuff because I always say when I get around to it. Now that I have one, you have to
Well,
do
if you
what
get
I say.
around to it, grab one. When you get around to it. Okay. There's something else I was supposed to announce I've forgotten, so we're going to give the time to Mike for a minute.
I run the 10-meter net on Thursday evenings. How many here have ever checked into the 10-meter net? Actually, there's quite a few hands. Now, we only have about 5 or 6 who regularly check in every week, but that we're looking for net control operators starting in April, because I will not be able to do that. And so anyone who would like to take a turn at it, or would like to get started back into checking into the 10-meter net again, if you haven't, meet right over here after our club meeting. We're going to talk about how we're going to run that after the end of this month, and how to do net control, and because there'll be people taking turns at it as to how to do that. So if you have an interest in that, meet right over here, right here by the board after the meeting today, and we'll talk about that. Thanks.
Dave?
So why can't you do it anymore?
Because I will not be here to run it.
Where are you going to?
I will be running my own life in southern Utah in April.
I was going to say, southern Utah, 10 meter, or you could split.
If it was 80 meters, that's a different situation.
Thanks, Mike.
Well, thanks for your service, Mike.
There are always opportunities to serve in the club. And we've not had a formal net manager to manage the different nets that we have. We have 3 nets in our club. I don't know if you know that. We have ham and eggs on Tuesday night. We have the ladies' net on Monday night. And then we have the 10-meter net on Thursdays. So feel free if you'd like to help out with any of those nets. Yeah. Barbara could help out with the ladies' net as well as, tell me your name because I don't know names.
John.
John?
Rachel.
John.
Rachel, thank you.
What?
Only YLs are permitted to transmit on the YL net unless you have explicit permission from net control. So we're glad that they have that. And we have several ladies who've just gotten their licenses. I've been helping program a few radios, and hopefully they'll come join us here shortly. Let's see, what else do we have at the moment? Oh, I know what else we have at the moment. It's cycled through already, but the board has been working on the bylaws for months. Literally, probably half a year, maybe more. We believe that they're ready to be presented, and we will plan to present them next month at the April meeting. They are out on our website right now. You go to the right side, and you go down the right side, in the tiniest font that Val could find, it says proposed bylaws. Can we move that to the left side and make it big so they can find it? Let's do that.
It's on the left side already, as well.
Oh, it's on the left side also?
Temporarily.
Okay. Please go take a look at it. If you have comments, concerns, suggestions, email one of the officers in the club and copy me so that we can take a look at that. We've gone over them countless times. One of the things that we plan to offer is a club lifetime individual membership. So if you're interested in that, that will be something new. Obviously, it's not required. It's totally optional. But if you would like to become a lifetime member of the Ogden Club, it'll be available to you. Any questions or other things you'd like to bring before us? Dave first.
Saturday, March 29th, 2025, at the Western Sports Park, formerly the Legacy Event Center. Gives an address. It's the annual Utah VHF Society Swap Meet.
That's down in Farmington at the old fairgrounds that they've totally wiped out and made a sports arena on. But the building 2 is still there, where we've always had it. So,
For now.
just for now. So that's the biggest swap meet in the state. And usually there's a lot of good stuff there. So go early and get the good things. Please tell me your name because...
Mike.
Mike, thank you.
Just a question. I've been on the website, and where do you get the patches?
Where do you get the patches? This young man over here with a beautiful lady next to him, we don't know exactly how that happened, but what a lucky guy he is. Has
How many
patches.
do you want?
3 if I could.
Betcha.
They're $5 each.
It's because he's a former member.
Hey now.
Speaking of that, for anybody who is interested, also on our website, we do have a couple of places where you can go and you can get apparel. There's a place down in Layton where the guy likes to sell shirts. So I bought the shirt from him. He embroidered it for free to give me my Ogden patch, and he's got the stuff to do that. I think I paid him an extra $10 for my name and call sign. And he's got a variety of shirts. You can get them from $20 up to $60, $80. So whatever you like. So that's out on the website too. And one other thing, if you become a member of ARRL for the first time, the club will give you a year's membership for OARC free as part of that. So,
If you subscribe to ARRL through us.
yeah, if you have to subscribe through the club, we get a kickback. Full transparency here. I think Doge is out in the hallway listening, so just had to make sure everybody knows what's going on. Any other things from anybody? Any other new folks we haven't recognized? We do have new call signs that we've seen. Has anyone else either become a newly licensed amateur or upgraded their license? Tracy's going to here in about 5 weeks. Yes?
I just renewed mine.
That is commendable.
Did that take a week, and did you get lost in the FCC website?
You know, they send you a thing saying, hey, your license is going to expire soon, and then they like, before, they used to include a link that took you right to the page.
Yeah.
Now they don't. I guess they send emails and it costs them per character or something. I'm not sure how that works.
Any license, stop. Upgrade, stop.
So the ARRL, and if you belong to QRZ and you subscribe to any of their stuff,
Check the website.
they've got much better links and everything else to go renew, and you do have to kind of fight it. You have to go in and log in with your FRN, and then you have to log into your account, and then you have to make sure that the accounts are associated, and on and on and on. And as long as all that's done, then it takes you to a place where it says, oh, you can now renew. And so I clicked that link, and it wasn't terrible. And then they notified me like 4 days later that it had been renewed. So
Was it $35?
it is. They do charge you again for their FCC fees, which maybe we ought to talk to Doge to look into that thing.
Or charge the government for community service?
So the good news is, for our newly licensed hams who just got their technician license, when you upgrade to general, there's not an additional $35 fee. Or if you're really ambitious and get your extra the same night, there's no $35 fee for that either. So,
Right, but if you do it a week later, then they do charge you again that $35 upgrade fees. At least that's my understanding.
Oh, I got my extra
Really?
basically that $35 is your station fee, the license levels. They just charge it to you every 10 years.
I upgraded to a general last month.
Congrats. That's good. So our presentation today will actually, yes.
One more. Some of our brand new members may not know what we're talking about when we talk about a patch. Come on over and I'll show you one. You need at least one. They're $5 a piece.
They look like this. So instead of having to go to Layton to buy a whole shirt to get this, you can buy the patch and sew it on your own. And I have a lady down in Fruit Heights who does embroidery for about $10. She'll embroider your shirt or your hat or whatever you want. So she's a ham and she loves hams and she doesn't charge near what she's worth. all of that information is on our website. There's a files section that's got a lot of information on it. One of the files out there is how to obtain an official copy of your FCC license. Sometimes you need that, and it's about as easy as going in and trying to pay your money to them. So if I remember, I'll try and put something out there about renewals too, if we can get a file out there to make it a little easier to find it. Yeah. Okay. Jason and Justin, it's the power of J squared. We've got our program going today here for us. And thanks to Don for getting these guys ranged.
Of course, we didn't pre-coordinate this, and from my Air Force days, the rules are if you didn't pre-brief it, you're not doing it. So we'll see how this goes. Jason's going to talk about software. Did you want to set up so you can put on the screen?
Yeah, it's already.
Okay.
I just need to plug.
So we're talking about contesting. Now, contesting is a little bit different than traditional rag chewing, because with traditional rag chewing, you're not in a hurry, usually, unless your wife's calling you for dinner, and then you have to wrap it up, but that's okay. The point of contesting is to get as many contacts as possible in the shortest amount of time. It's a pretty healthy competition. I know usually when conditions are great and you want to get on there and rag chew, you turn it on and there isn't a blank spot on the HF bands because there's a contest going on. So if you either beat them or join them. So communications during a contest are going to be obviously more tactical, crisp, and concise. Now, I'm coming from you as a former electronic warfare officer in the Air Force. So when I got on the radio, I couldn't talk about all the fun stuff we were going to do when we were landing. It was get on, state your business, and get off. Because in many cases, there were a lot of people waiting to use, and we had stuff that was channelized and went through satellites, and there was also a war going on, so we would get talked to if we got a little long-winded. Hey, there might be guys like snake eaters waiting to do something, and you're locking up the satellite because there's only so many channels and you have to encrypt everything, so there's only so much bandwidth. I think we've improved it now, but also there's not as much going on in the world, although there's still stuff going on. So in a contest, and let me know when you want to break in, I'm just going to keep jabbering away at my talking points. In a contest, obviously there's some frequency management going on, so you can do one of two things. You can dial your way up the frequency and work all the stations. Dial up from like 20 meters and if you have an extra, it's a control operator. Congratulations, you get to be an extra for a day if you're not. You can hop all the stations up, or you can plant your flag and say this is my frequency, and you can call CQ and get people to come back to you. So you can do it both ways. It's first come, first served on that frequency. If you get there first and it's empty, it's free, then stay there. If people are coming in to work you. If the frequency gets silent, you call CQ more than probably 2 or 3 minutes. Maybe it's time to hop and go work up the band. Now keep the band edges in mind. That's in every single ham radio test. If your bandwidth is this much, how close can you get to the edge? Obviously, you don't want to go over, so you have to keep that in mind. The contest is not an excuse to break the rules, and then you can work each station. So if you work your way up 20 meters and then you want to work your way down 20 meters, that's fine. But what happens when you work a station twice? Do you get twice as many points? No, you've just wasted their time and yours because it's a dupe or a double. So try to avoid that sort of thing. And then logging. So this is a good segue to talk about logging.
Justin?
Sir?
Is there certain bands that don't allow contesting, like 30 and 60, right?
30, 60, and I think it's 17, 12. Yeah. Those are...
Work bands.
Okay, those are the work bands. I can't remember which one. I thought work bands were the ones that... But the work bands are the ones that... If you want to rag chew, and conditions are magically good, then yes, go to 60, 12, 17, and you can talk on those because there's no contest there. Those are usually a good break in the good question, a good break in the storm. Now logging can be a challenge. Now if you're just working on your own, then you're going to have your computer in front of you and your radio, and it's going to slow you down a little bit. If you have a co-pilot while you're running the radio, and they can keep up, then they can do the logging, and we have logging software for that. Otherwise, you have to do it later or turn in a paper form. I don't think does anybody even take paper forms anymore for contests? They do, okay. You better have good handwriting because you're writing fast and talking fast. So this is a team effort, so make sure that your co-pilot that's logging for you is able to keep up. And you can either they write it down and put it in later, or they can do it real time on the computer, and then one of you writes. Out of habit, I like to write who I'm working if I'm talking on the radio, and then as a backup to the person that's logging for me. That always helps. Okay, so the other thing, and we've all done this, and I'm the most egregious, so I'm calling myself out. Have the script in front of you, because what's going to happen is you're going to get caught up in the moment, and if you're using the club sign, which is W7SU, Whiskey 7 Sierra Uniform, the number of times I've called KB7LAK out there is too numerous to mention, and yes, you're right to laugh. So, and you want to keep it consistent. So have the script in front of you with it spelled out phonetically so that you can just read it. Because your mind works everybody's mind works different, but mine works on-off. So I'm on, and then I have to shut it off at some point. So when do I shut it off? When I'm transmitting, of course. And then when I'm receiving, I turn it back on. So if I have that script in front of me, and I've been this way since I was born, and it somehow I managed not to crash an airplane, except for that one time. But I couldn't see the ground, to be honest. So that's. But have your script ready so you can do your CQ field day, Whiskey 7 Sierra Uniform, CQ field day, and then be consistent and have a rhythm. So you're going to transmit, receive for a certain amount of time, maybe twice the time you're transmitting where you don't say anything, and then jump back on if nobody responds. Now when you have a pileup, that's a challenge because you're hearing all these things at once coming back at you. That's when my mind is turning back on, and I'm like, okay. I usually grab the loudest and the strongest because those are the easiest ones to knock out of the way. And I pray that everybody else behind them is patient and is going to try to work me so I can get them too. But some people just give up. I know I'm that way. If I call 5, 6, 7 times when I'm in a pileup trying to work a rare DX station or something, I'm not going to do it forever. I'll just give it up, especially if they're fading in and out or whatever. So work those stations as quickly as you can. And when I've heard people at equal strength, I've said, okay, I got you, give me a second, let me work this guy. And so you can kind of sort the pile out so people know that you're going to get to them. So, okay, I've got this guy, okay, next I'm going to get this guy, I'm going to get this guy. So if you can do that, then that's one way to do it. And then has anyone ever worked a station where you go up 5? Okay, how does that work?
Splits, and it works real well.
It works real well. That's something we've never done, to my knowledge, at Golden Spike, because with Golden Spike, you get a bunch of people, and then you get silence for hours and hours, and then you get a bunch of people, and then you get silence for hours and hours. So something we may want to do, but the up 5 thing, it does work really well, because there's one guy that's always receiving, and one guy that's always transmitting, and the receiving guy writes down what he hears, and he tells the transmit guy, right? He says, yeah, I got you. Okay, next. And so you don't hear everybody except for the people who didn't listen to him and transmit on the transmit frequency that he says, hey, no, we're up 5, so go up 5 and do that. So that's not a bad way. And if we want to try that, we could. Another thing I think we could do is, because we're so close to it, is the Utah software-defined radio is out near Golden Spike. So we could have somebody listening to that and have them kind of do some backup logging as well. So that's another way to do it. Where I live, I have to use the SDR quite a bit, especially on 10 meters, because I don't hear anything. I'm kind of in a canyon, so sometimes I can get out and sometimes I can't. It's also a good thing to use for testing, but conditions change and people will give up if they think you can't hear them. So another option, again, is to use the up 5. Okay. when you're transmitting and receiving, and you're just one station, but you've got your logger, also keep in mind the mobile stations and the QRPs. So you want to get those guys out of the way first. Why? Okay, A, they're more points, and B, mobile is they're moving, so you may hear them, and then they'll drive 2 miles down the road, and then you won't hear them. So take them when you can get them. And QRP also being more points. If a QRP guy is beating out all these other people, shouldn't be using amplifiers in contests, but beating someone who's got a lot of oomph in their signal, that's pretty cool. So grab them as well. Reward them for being QRP. I like to run as much power as possible, but because of the extenuating circumstances, grab those guys. They are more points, but it's also they're kind of making a little extra effort. Okay, confirm their info. Ensure they have your info. Take an extra second if you have to, because does the contact count if you don't put yours in and they don't put theirs in, or something's wrong? No, and again, you've kind of wasted time. So make sure you have their call sign down and their location accurately and correctly. Okay, again, not a rag chew. Get on, get off fast. It's a race. It's a contest. It does wear you out. I'm not who I was 20 years ago when I was able to get in the airplane for 18 hours and talk nonstop. So you do get a little worn out, and then looking around the room, I mean, we're not all spring chickens. To those of you spring chickens, we hate you, but that's okay. We were you once. So get water, take a break, swap out. If you just and I know when it's time for me to swap out because I start getting tongue-tied or I start tripping over stuff or whatever. And same thing as in the airplane. Hey, I got to get up. I got to take a break. I'll be back. Let me know if something happens. I'll come running right back here, because I was fortunately in a big enough airplane to be able to do that versus the guys who got belted in and didn't get to move. Yeah, workstation, switch out fast. Try not to lose your frequency. Okay, CW, here's another one where I'm a war criminal, and thank goodness for guys like Evan. Have someone help you if you're not fast or you can't decode it that fast. It was nice to have Evan. Whenever I do CW, he would give me the call sign, and then either I would log or someone else would log, and then I would send. But Evan would also laugh because one time I sent Whiskey 7 Sierra Whiskey. And I hung my head in shame because what did they come back to? Whiskey 7 Sierra Whiskey. So how long does it take to correct them? Okay, so again, don't waste your time, or just have Evan send it because he's better. All right, and then the other challenge with CW is I can decrypt 3 or 4 or 10 voices talking to me, and I can pick out the loudest. With CW, all I hear is beeps and squeaks. The irony of which is I was an electronic warfare officer, so I could understand, or I could pick out radar signals by sound, but they're not all talking to me. At least over the voices in my head, they aren't. So that was a challenge. That was a joke. Let's see here. So have a seeing eye dog that can help you with, or a hearing ear dog, I guess, with CW. That's unless you're really good at it, which is not me. Okay, again, voice. Key up fast, push to talk. I used to yell at my students, it's not push to think, it's push to talk. Stan.
Also remember, if you're calling on a spot calling CQ, give your call sign. Too many people say, just QRZ, and we work another station, they say QRZ, and you sit there for 5 minutes waiting for them to give their call.
Yep.
And
right. Yeah, you're breaking their leg too when you do that. So make sure, again, and that's why I say have a rhythm and have a script so that you can just CQ Field Day, Whiskey 7 Sierra Uniform, CQ Field Day kind of thing. And again, it's right in front of you, and then you just write what comes back to you. But yes, make sure that you give your call sign enough and that you get theirs. Take that extra second to confirm it so that you can move on. Did I cover that? Okay. Again, not push to think, which I used to love to say to them and watch them hang their head in shame, but it was done to me, so that makes it okay. Get your call sign out there, and then get theirs back. Remember, it's a contest. It's a healthy competition. Okay, we're there with other operators. We don't need to become petty or angry, and we don't have to fight people. Sometimes people turn ham radio into a war zone. I don't understand those people. I was on a net the other night with the Air Force Flyers Club, and we moved down to 7.208, and someone was jamming us. because we were on their frequency. Okay, who owns the frequencies? Well, God owns the frequencies, and then the FCC gets to use them because physics. So be nice, healthy competition, and don't jam others, and do things to limit the competition. It's supposed to be fun. If it's not fun, go do something else. Go hit the amateur boxing circuit. Okay, what am I missing?
Different types of phonetics, like there's Whiskey 7 Sierra Uniform, or there's Whiskey 7 Sugar United.
Right. Okay. Yeah, tune your ear for that. There's the military one, and then there's the old military one, Abel, Baker, Charlie, David, the name ones, yes. And then some people, King Henry VIII for the Hawaii stations.
South America uses Japan for Juliet.
Right.
Denmark for Delta.
Yeah, and some of them use Zanzibar, Zebra, or whatever for their phonetics. So, I mean, there's no hard and fast rule of what you have to do, but for those of us who are used to the military one, obviously we use that one, but understand their phonetics, and you can parrot those back if you want.
Yeah, and it's easier for them to understand it too if you do parrot back there.
Yes, yeah, especially if they're English limited.
Yes, a couple of weeks ago there was Argentina or South America one we were playing on, and they could hear Japan much better than they could hear Juliet.
Right. Stan, and then?
Yeah, sometimes if you give your call sign regular phonetics and they're not getting it, sometimes if you change phonetics, they'll get it.
Okay. Yeah. So, and use what they use. Ken?
I don't know if you already covered it, but some contests have different exchanges, so sometimes you have to download, go to the AARL swap site, whether it's Pinderfield Day or,
Yeah.
Because Evie could be doing 2 Alpha Uniform Tango, right? And the next contest that you do, or if it's a contest in another country, they have different exchanges during the contest.
They have those ones that, like, it's got your count in it. So you're like, you'll hear them say 57 in Arkansas, and then 58 in Arkansas. So
a serial number?
Yeah, they're serially listed that way. So then you have to give them your number. So I don't do those because I'm not in front of my computer enough to do that. But that is kind of the challenge to the exchange, is having the numbers accurate. And because I did that once in Florida, and the guy had no patience for me, and I was like, sorry. But it wasn't his job to explain to me. I should have got online and played. So anyway.
Yeah, it's just, I bring it up because sometimes as amateur radio operators, we don't know that a contest is going.
Yes.
And they'll try to exchange with you. And you're like, what are you doing? I'm just here trying to get a QSO, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you just, and if it's a good operator, they're kind to you. And you can just say, hey, sorry, I didn't know there was a contest. By the way, I'm in Utah, and I'll let you go.
Yep. David, and then Rachel.
Well, what does those numbers mean, like 58 and stuff?
So that's the 58th contact, and then 59. So they're giving you the count of how many they have.
Oh.
So you'll start out with 1 and just increment from there.
Yep. Rachel?
So, how do you know if you've won, and does something happen when you win?
So, like for field day, which is the granddaddy of all the contests, but then there's like QSO parties and other things. They will publish the results in the QST magazine, which gives you bragging rights for the year. And I think we are listed in there by a club, at least like number 17, 18. We get pretty good. And I don't know if you win anything like physical. I know there's no cash prizes or whatever, but you get bragging rights to say, hey, my club, or if it's the individual, get a life. But they win. They win. They get their name in the magazine published and stuff, or online. So it is kind of neat, and it is a testament to being efficient to eat, especially if it's like CW. So they're keying with one hand, copying code in their head with the other, and logging on the computer. So, hey, good on you, Dave.
There's a variety of different kinds of contests too. I mean, you mentioned like the QSO parties, those kind of things. It depends. I was listening to the radio. There was some people calling out something. It was over in in Georgia. And this was way back in my early time as a ham radio operator. And I actually called in, and the guy took my information and he said, "Oh, you're in Utah," and it was a waste of his time because they were doing some
worked all states or something.
Yeah, some state thing, or in their state or whatever. But there are other ones where they'll be calling out, and they'll be calling out for specific locations, or they'll be calling out for
a guy called me yesterday on
contacts in general. And so you can sometimes join those and actually be a part of their contest regardless. But you kind of need to, clue in that there's a contest going on first.
Right.
And second, you can look it up, find out if you could even or should even call in.
Yep.
But then it depends on the contest. They do have awards that you can get sent.
Right.
There's the Worked All States, there's the...
Worked All Counties. A guy was looking for grid squares yesterday, and I said...
And there's the grid square ones.
I'm in Huntsville. What grid square is that? Yeah, you have to look it up. I'm driving, bud. I can't look it up for you. And he's like, I need whatever.
There's event ones like our thing over at Golden Spike, where we actually send out unique individual
postcards, QSL cards.
QSL cards. Things like that. So it depends on the contest. It depends on what you're into. But when you look at people's YouTube channels with ham radio, if they're into contesting at all, and a lot of them are, behind them all the time, they always stage it behind them.
Yeah.
You can see on the wall all of the different certificates and everything else that they've won by doing some contest or some thing or another. So if you're into that kind of thing, it's a lot of fun. If you just want something to do, like the Worked All States thing, there are people that sponsor those. We're still, as far as I know, we're still sponsoring the 10-meter 10-on-10 contacts and stuff like that, or are we not doing that because Gene has... Did he move to Idaho now, or...?
He's in between.
He's sort of in between?
Yeah.
So he's somewhere up by...
Bear Lake.
Just kidding. So we do have those kind of things that are just local to our club. So, you can do all kinds of these contests. It all depends on what you want to do with ham radio. But our contesting, we kind of keep it light. There are some clubs that you'll contact on field day, and even at Golden Spike, you'll run into contesters there. And they can get kind of vicious because you're wasting their time. They got more contacts to make. Who was it last year? It was one of the California clubs. 36 something. I can't remember what class they were in, but they were 36. They had 36 different stations. All within, what's the distance requirement for a field day? All within some distance of each other. And they were hitting it hard. And they didn't want to waste time. If they made a second or you made a second contact with them, they tell you off and all kinds of stuff. So they were just mean. But they take it seriously. Where we just sort of show up, we do our operating, we have a good meal, we have a lot of friends, a lot of chit-chat time and things like that. So we kind of keep it light. So if you want to try contesting, this is a really good club to get into it and just sort of break into it.
For fun contesting.
It's fun contesting, because we don't spend getting that last contact is not our goal. Yeah. Getting contacts is the goal, but we want to have fun with it. We want you guys to have fun with it. We want you to come out and try it.
You ready to take over?
And all that
sure.
Stuff.
I can, when I answer those questions, I'll do
Be
logging
sure
for
to
you
put
if you
that on
want.
your calendar, both of them.
Yeah, it's up there. All right, anything else? I know we had a couple more comments. Okay, I'll turn it over to Jason. He's going to explain the software. So,
yeah, maybe I misunderstood what was required here, but I'm going to explain what we do to install the software and get it working with the computer here. So
that's okay.
We won't be doing any logging today.
Can you demo it though?
Yeah. Okay. So let me just talk about logging briefly. So I guess way before my time, logging was required. It was part of your license. When you made contacts, you had to log them. Nowadays, you don't have to log. But if you do want to participate in a contest, like fully participate in a contest, you do have to log. Ideally, you're going to be logging on a computer because the data is easy to transfer with that. You can log on paper if you'd like. This is a logbook that my mom thought I'd like for my birthday. Unfortunately, the pages are not, I don't think the person who set this up was ham, because this is not a good format for it. So I haven't really used that thing. But anyway, so there's plenty of options for logging software. We use the N3 FJP software. That is the call sign of the person who writes and publishes the software. There's plenty of others, N1MM. There's one called Log4OM, or Log for Old Man. If you are okay with paying for it, you can use Ham Radio Deluxe. There are some other ones that you can pay for as well. There's a variety of platforms. There's plenty of stuff for Windows. There's stuff for Macintosh, Linux. There's even logging software for Android. And I'm guessing there's software for iOS. I don't have an iPhone, so I couldn't say. There's also web-based logging software. One that I'd like to try out is called Cloud Log. It's all web-based, and you just open a browser and log your stuff there. And anyway, I wanted to mention there's a difference between your local logging software and the stuff, the services online that match your contacts with other people. So I'm talking about Logbook of the World, or QRZ, or there's a few other ones, EQSL. You're going to start out your logs on your own equipment, on your own laptop, and then you're going to send those logs to these other services like Logbook of the World or QRZ. So you're going to still need something on your own machine to log those contacts. So any questions about that? Yeah.
Don't they have specific file formats that for contests too? They have to have specific file formats.
Yeah, and I believe if you...
Is it Cabrillo?
Yeah, Cabrillo, or yeah, I don't remember all of them. But if you go look up the rules of the contest, it will tell you what format your log needs to be in when you submit it. So it's good to look up those rules. I mean, you're going to need to read them anyway. So any other questions? Yeah.
All of the various logging programs are automatically set up that if you want to actually turn in your log for a contest, it's a choice in your menus, and you just go pick it, and it'll generate the file for you.
Yep.
It's an automated thing that they all offer. Whichever version you use, you can just go click, okay, Cabrillo formatted logging thing, and it'll generate the file for you, and then you can just go send it to whoever is sponsoring the contest.
Yep. And some logging software is designed more for contests than just general logging. Like I think N1MM is more specifically for contests. And we'll see in a minute about N3 FJP. But you can choose your logging software based on your use case. So I'd encourage you to look up reviews and see what other people say about it and whether it will work for you. Any other questions? All right. So just to set the scene here, we've got the club's IC7300 here because we will be connecting the computer to this later on. I've got one of the club's laptops here. A few days ago, I wiped it clean, reinstalled Windows so that we can see this process from the very beginning and we don't have to worry about previous log files and stuff getting in the way. So you don't have to wipe your laptop before you install logging software. I just wanted to make sure that old stuff wasn't going to interfere with the presentation. This is a live demo, which is, can be a problem, so we'll see if it works. If there are problems, I'm sorry, but we're doing this live.
Individual results may vary.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So like I said, the club uses N3 FJP. We use it because it's simple. A lot of other people use it. So if you just search for N3 FJP, it's just n3fjp.com. I'm not meaning this to be an advertisement for this software, just trying to familiarize you with it. Well, I think it's more than one person. There's the family that works on this. They offer a bunch of different packages for different uses. So here you've got amateur contact log. That's just for your day-to-day logging, not necessarily for a contest. And then they've got a bunch of different contests that you can get software for. And the way their business model works, you pay for each of these packages individually. But once you pay for a certain number of them, and the club has done this, accidentally. Once you pay for a certain number of them, he just sends you licenses for all of them. And so the club actually has licenses for all of this stuff just because we accidentally bought enough licenses for enough of them. So
Gary's got a question.
Yeah.
I think they offer a deal. You can buy them separately, or you can pay a certain amount.
Yes.
Yeah, we got all of them.
Free after that.
Yes, that's true. He does offer a buy-it-all price, and I don't remember what it is, $50 or something. And that's another nice thing about these packages. Like the field day log, I think, is about $10. I don't remember exactly, but it's really inexpensive. So the way it works is you just download the software. So you click this link, and it downloads the EXE installer. I already have it downloaded, so I'm not going to click it. And then, well, we'll get to that point in just a second. So you download it, and then you install it. So I've got, I have this in my downloads folder. So it's just called fieldday.exe, and we're going to install it. And you just go through the wizard. Pretty simple. And then we're going to launch it. Now, I believe this software offers a free trial period. And it's probably going to pop up a thing here that says yes. So it's not time-based, it's contacts-based. So the unregistered program, you're limited to 30 contacts, which is not very useful for field day. Let me just get our license code. I forgot to grab that before I left home.
Do you want to pull that aside a little bit, and I'll just kind of talk them through the
Oh.
While you're working that.
Yeah.
So as you can see, there's you've got the regions here. This has covered up some of them, but you know this is one land. This is two lands. So North New York, North New Jersey, South New Jersey, and then we live in 7 lands. So Utah, Western Washington, Eastern Washington. So these are, you know, parts of states or states, North Texas, South Texas, West Texas. I think it does it automatically when it figures it out, but they start red and they turn either blue or green when you get them.
Yeah.
So when you start clicking off, and you can kind of see as conditions, HF conditions change throughout the day, you'll hear different parts of the, and I think there's world stuff on here too, but there's Canada.
Yeah.
0 land. So different regions and areas will highlight that you've got them. So it's kind of fun. You can kind of track at a glance where you're at. And then you got your window in here. You put their call and their class. You know, 1 alpha. I think that's emergency powered. 1 station emergency powered. Mm-hmm. And then their section, and they tell you their section. Our section is obviously Utah Uniform Tango. But, you know, you'll work different and they have to tell you what they are. So, they'll, you know, East New York, I don't know what NLI is, but Northern New Jersey, Southern New Jersey, Connecticut, Vermont, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Maine. And so, it'll just record it here, and then, this'll tell you, hey, possible duplicate if you work a station more than once. Because, you know, some people You just ruined their whole life. But,
Yep.
oh, sorry.
All right.
They're going to throw their pencil down and storm out.
So when you bring up the software for the first time, you'll see this registration screen. You can click the link here, and it'll bring you to their website again. And it's been a long time since I did this, so I don't remember where you go. But there should be instructions on here for making your payment, and then, well, I guess there's a purchase here. Register now. There we go. That's what I wanted. It's the same page. Okay, so there's the price for everything. $60 for all their packages, and then field day is $9, so less than I was expecting. So you pay your fee, and then you get your registration code by email. And then you come back to here and you type it in. So in this case, the club bought it, so the club call sign is Whiskey 7 Sierra Uniform, and the password was sent by email. I don't want to tell you because, it's writing it out, but maybe I'll just blur that on the YouTube video or something. And then it says, thank you for registering, and then you're all set. And here, you put in your information, because this becomes part of the log. It's going to tell you it tried to guess what the other values are. You can come in and change these, like, we're not 116, I think we're more like negative 112. And then in here, you're going to put your class and section. Usually on summer field day, we operate 2 alpha, and then we're in Utah. And then these fields are optional. So I guess in theory, every time you change operators, you should come in here and change this, the name and initials of the operator. We usually don't worry about that. So we click done. So if you want to participate in a real-time scoreboard, you can do that. Yeah.
When you operate it from different areas, do you have to change your location? Like field day, we're down here in Ogden. Golden Spike, you're up there. Do you use this for Golden Spike at all?
Yeah, like I usually will put in the latitude and longitude of Golden Spike, and then the latitude and longitude of the Marriott Park. I don't know if that information actually gets passed along with the log file. So, I could put in there that we're in Sri Lanka, and I don't think anybody would care. So, anyway, so I guess they have a real-time scoreboard that you can participate in. We're not going to worry about that right now. I don't think we've ever used that in the past. Let me get back to my script here. All right. So we did the purchase and registration, initial setup. Another thing I was going to show you is this is more for the people who are interested in the back-end technology. This all just gets stored in your documents folder. And you'll see here there's a file called logdata.mdb. MDB is a Microsoft Access database. So it's just logging everything in a Microsoft Access database. If you want to, and I've done this before, if you have not refreshed your computer or deleted the log file or anything, you can come in here and create a new log file. You can use the existing file, or you can create a new database. All that does is create a new Access database where you put your stuff. So we'll just use what has already been created for us. All right. So the next thing, and this is going to be where problems happen, if problems happen, is we've got a USB cable. On newer transceivers, they usually have a USB port on the back of the transceiver, and then you just plug that into the computer. What this gets you is two things. It gets you rig control, so the computer and the radio can talk to each other. If the radio changes frequencies, it can tell the computer about it. And if the computer wants the radio to change frequencies, it can force that. So you get rig control, and then you get audio. So inside of the IC7300, there's a chip in there that acts like a serial port, and another chip in there that acts like a sound card. And actually, what I should have done, I should have showed you that, because this is part of the process of setting it up. So if you go to computer management, and I'm going to unplug this again, and you go to device manager, you're going to need to know which COM port it assigned to the radio. So we're going to go to, it doesn't have any COM ports. Okay. Oh, did it turn off? Okay. Did it turn back on? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, most of you aren't going to be able to see the display on the radio, but for the lucky few in the front, I wanted to show you that it can change. Oh, okay. All right. So I'm going to plug this in. Keep an eye on the computer management there. It's going to refresh here to show that it found a new device. So we've got the USB to UART bridge controller. And I forgot to do this. I should have written it in my script. One thing you have to do, and I'm just going to do a Google search, IC7300 drivers. So,
put the drivers in the
yeah. So you have to go to ICOM's website and download the driver for this radio. So the computer doesn't know what the radio is. And so you'll just go down here to the bottom of the page. In theory, you should read this thing. You're going to click the checkbox there, and you're going to download the driver to go with the radio. Now, I already did that, so I've got that right here. So you just, well, I already extracted it. You're going to extract all, and we'll just do A because I already extracted it once. So it comes as a zip file. Then you've got your driver here, and we've got Windows 7, 8.1 and 10, and then Windows 10. This is actually a Windows 11 machine. I'm just going to use the Windows 10 driver, though. So we're going to go back into computer management and right-click here and go to Update Driver. And then we're going to search on our own computer for the driver. I've got it in my Downloads folder. This is the one I just extracted. We're going to go to Windows 10. And I'm just going to click OK there. We have the Include Subfolders checkbox checked, so that means it'll just search recursively for the driver it needs. And then it's installing the drivers. It found the serial port, and we're done. Now, it assigned a COM port to it, so this is COM3. We're going to need that for later. So we're going to go back to the software, and we are going to go to Settings and Rig Interface. Now, the reason the club has two computers, a Yaesu computer, or sorry, two radios, a Yaesu and an ICOM. I chose the ICOM because it's the more difficult one. I don't know why ICOM has to make it difficult. There's probably a reason. I just don't know what it is.
So pay extra for that.
Yeah. So for whatever reason, there's special instructions for setting this up. So all I do is N3FJP, I search for that, and then IC7300, and there's YouTube videos for this, and then there should be, on the N3FJP website, there's instructions here for setting up the radio with your computer. So if we scroll down, so you'll notice it's got instructions for a bunch of different rigs. And we just need to scroll down to ICOM. And we have an ICOM 7300. Way down there. Okay. So here, this is what we need to set it up on our machine. So the rig name is ICOM 2. So we're going to go back to N3FJP. We're going to select ICOM 2. And then read frequency command. So this is some text that we need to copy into here. So the read frequency command just goes in there. All I did is copy and paste from the website. The read mode command is this. And these two values are what make ICOM stuff different from the other ones. I think the other radios don't have that. They're not as difficult here. So convert to hex is true, and then the baud rate is 9600. I can't remember where the convert to hex box is. Not going to worry about it. Okay, so 9600 baud here. So this is 9.6 kilobaud. We're going to put that in. And parity is none, stop bits is 8, data bits is 1. So none, 8, and 1. And I have to, yep. So the parity is already set that way. Power option is none. And I'm sorry, I don't know where that setting is. Anyway, once we get this far.
On the left by RTS, right where your mouse is. Connection power.
Connection power. There we go. Okay, so we set that to none. All this is doing is configuring the serial port inside of the ICOM radio. So this is how the computer knows how fast to send the data, what data to send. So we've got all that set up. We choose COM3. Remember, that's the COM port it told us to use. And then I think at this point we can say test. And it knows that the radio is on 21.3 and the mode is SSB. And I forgot to check.
21.3 was correct.
Yeah, 21.3, and we're on upper sideband. So that's how you set up the software to connect to the radio. The reason that's important, especially on field day, I'm going to click done here and go back to the window. Down here at the bottom, you have to choose your band and your mode. Now, in the past, what would happen is someone would be working on, say, on 15 meters, and then they said, I want to try 40 meters. So they switch the radio over to 40 meters, but they forget to change it on the logging software, and so we've got a bunch of contacts logged under 15 meters that were actually under 40 meters, which is not good in the log. It's not accurate. What's nice about this is we can, when the radio changes, so let's go to 40 meters. So I just changed it to 7.023, and it's in lower sideband. And I'm going to say we're going to do CW. So down here at the bottom of the screen, you'll notice the software followed the radio. It changed by itself to 40 meters in CW. It saves me a lot of headache, because when it comes time for me to submit the log, I don't have to go fix anything. So that's why I like to have this all set up this way. And I think that, I don't remember if you can do this. Let's see.
Oh, change it in the software?
Yeah. So the software is set up so the radio controls the frequency, not the software. So if I try to change the frequency in the software, it doesn't do anything. Anyway, so yeah, it's really nice to have that all set up. Now, if you were doing digital modes like PSK31 or FT8, something like that, this one USB cable is also going to carry the audio from the radio to the computer. So the computer has access to what's going on the radio. What you have to be careful of, and I'm not going to demonstrate this, but if you've got two pieces of software on your laptop fighting for control over the radio at the same time, it's going to cause problems. So if you're doing, for instance, FT8, you're probably going to want to close your logging software and let FT8 do the logging, and then you can copy your log from FT8 over into N3FJP or whatever you're using. But newer transceivers are really nice this way. I've got an old Kenwood at home. To do the same functionality that's in this one cable would require at least 3 cables in a box to work with my older Kenwood radio. So it's nice that the radio just has a USB port for that. Any questions before I move on? All right, you're all experts.
Now, if the club decides we're going to do parks on the air at Golden Spike, I'm gonna need the logs.
Yeah.
Send in.
So that's the reason, I think that was the reason that the club ended up with the license to the entire suite of stuff for N3AFJP, because we do summer field day, winter field day, and then we bought the amateur contact log for just general logging. And I think that's what triggered him to just send everything. So, yeah, we will be able to do that. Rachel.
Hi.
Hi. Is that it? Okay.
She's doing a great job on the camera.
Yes. So my daughter Rachel's here. 'Cause I usually record these for YouTube, but it's hard to present and record at the same time, so she's doing that for me. All right. So I guess we're on to the demonstration part. So we usually have two people doing the running the radio and doing the log at field day. One person runs the radio, the other person does the log. And usually both people have a pad of paper in front of them and a pen so that you can write down the call signs. And then usually, at least my experience has been, you kind of look at each other, make sure you got the same call sign, the same class and section, and then you can put it in the software. So we're going to pretend like we just contacted N1 ABC. Now, sorry, let me back up. The software is pretty smart about call signs. So if you just put in some random gobbledygook, it's going to tell you, hey, this doesn't look like a real call sign. So we can back up and put in a real call sign. I don't know if this is actually someone's call sign, but anyway, N1 ABC, and we're going to say they're in New York somewhere. So
1 alpha.
Oh, yeah. So 1 alpha, sorry.
Then there would be like, well, 2 is New York. But
Okay.
But they can be.
Yeah.
We can do Vermont, do VT.
Yeah. So we're going to say they're 1 alpha in Vermont. And that's all you have to do, those 3 fields. And you're lucky because the person on the other end of the radio is going to give you those 3 fields, their call sign, their class, and their section. And then you just hit enter. And you'll notice that the information appeared up here in the top section. If you made a mistake and you need to fix it, you can click the edit button and it'll give you a window where you can edit that. If you really made a mistake and you want to delete it, you can delete it. And it just deletes it. So it's nice that way. This is one of the really good features of this software is it's really simple to use. There's not much to it, and training someone to use it is not really hard. So we're going to say we really did contact that person. Now, say you did what Justin mentioned. You went up the band, you're coming back down the band, you hear this person again, but you don't remember it. And so you start trying to contact them, and we start, as soon as you start typing in the call sign again, whoops, that's not what I wanted. You're going to see down in this bottom box that says, hey, watch out, you might have already contacted this person. Now, on field day, you can contact the same person more than once as long as it's on a different band. Right. Does a different mode count too? Like, can you count them on the same band if it's CW and SSB?
Oh, okay.
So it has to be a different band or mode. So the possible duplicates is not going to appear if we, for instance, switched over to 20 and typed in that same call sign. That's okay.
Or got them on sideband.
Right, or got them on sideband. So, but anyway, now another feature of this software is we can network it. So we usually run 2 transceivers on field day, which means 2 laptops. And we have them talk to each other so that the log is actually kept on just one of the laptops, and the other laptop sends information to the first one. And so both of the logs from both computers get added up in this box at the top.
To the master computer.
Right. And actually both laptops can see the box. So both laptops can see all of the contacts all at the same time. So that's really nice because we only want to submit one log file and not two. It also helps out with duplicate checking. You know, if the other radio already worked somebody on that band and mode, then it'll tell you. Any questions about entering the data?
Show what happens when you try to type in the same call again and hit spacebar or return.
Oh.
Because that whole box lights up.
Yeah. So then it gives you a big red thing that says, hey, you really did already work this, don't work it again. So, and we can real quick change the, might as well leave this turned around. We can change the band real quick. So I'll switch back over to 15 meters. And yep, so switched back over. Now we already have N1 ABC in there. And you'll notice this time, and that's another feature of the software, it automatically populated the class and section, but it doesn't warn you of a duplicate because this isn't a duplicate. So having it populate the class and section is really nice. Don't have to do that yourself. Any other questions or demonstrations you would like to see?
So if you operate on a different band, it's not considered duplicate then?
Correct. Right, different band or different mode. It's a new contact and not a duplicate.
Otherwise, they feel like they have the right to yell at you.
Unfortunately.
Which they do. Software.
Some people get pretty serious about it.
You're not actually contacting anyone right now, are you?
No. So there's no antenna hooked up, and this battery isn't strong enough to power this on transmit anyway. So we're just pretending.
But you could.
Right. Well, I mean,
If it was set up, yes.
I could hit the push to talk button. It wouldn't do much, but.
But the software you're working on now, that doesn't drive the transmit function.
No, it does not. So all it does is it only reacts to when you type stuff in. It doesn't detect whether the push to talk is pushed or not.
Okay.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Did you talk about the ham library as far as like FCC? Once the call sign's been initiated, every like 3 months or so, they'll update the database. You can take that database off the internet, put it on your laptop, and then if you're out where there's no cell phone service, no internet, or you don't have Starlink, you've got a known good list of at least the call signs. But then the logging program can say, yeah, that's a valid call sign.
I've never done that before. I mean, so yes, that's a good.
They do that with DMR. That's how you they verify your call sign on DMR and give you the IDs. They have a ham library.
Right. So what he's talking about is the ability to download the FCC database and have that available on your machine so that your logging software can kind of cross-check and say, yeah, you really did get a good call sign. I don't know if if the field day log does that or not. I've never tried it. So it's possible that you could download the FCC database and it might double check call signs. I'm not sure, but in the case of field day, it's not really an issue because they give you your call sign or they give you their call sign, and classes and sections can change. You know, if I were to move to Colorado and start operating on my own, well, I worked in Utah last year and I'm working in Colorado this year. My call sign's the same, but my class and section may be different. So I don't know. Maybe it's something we could try in the future if the software actually offers that. Yeah, thank you, Tom. Any other questions?
Do they match logs in order to verify your?
So I think
when you turn in your results.
Yeah, like all your contacts have to turn their results in as well, so that they match the logs.
Yeah, I think they cross-check with each other. I don't know if they do that on field day or not. I think they may just take your word for it on field day, but I'm not 100% sure.
I think what they do is they pick certain logs, probably one that has a lot of contacts, and they'll cross-check to that log to see if they match.
Like a certain percentage or all of them? Because if they don't pull all of them, they won't have 100% on the on
Well,
the
I
big
think they
one.
use the cross-check log and then compare the other logs to it.
And that kind of segues us into the next part of this that I wanted to demonstrate. If you're going to participate in a contest, be polite to the other participants and turn in your log, because they're going to need that for their score. I'm not a contester, so I don't know if they all do this, but I know for field day, and I have to kind of admit some fault here, for field day, they definitely do have a deadline when you need to submit your log. I know that because one year I missed the deadline, and our club did not get in QST that December. So you need to, when you read the rules, pay attention when the deadline is. And then here, we're going to use the web app, and this is all, well, it looks like they already have the 2025 stuff up. I thought they'd still have the 2024 stuff up. But you're going to go to data entry, and here you're going to type in the information that you used for your field day activation. So your call, if you had a go-to station, you're going to use put the call in for that, your class and section, number of participants. So let me just put a plug in for this. We usually have a paper log of who's showed up at the site, and it's really helpful for me if you sign your name on that so that I know how many people were in there, because otherwise I just have to guess. Anyway, so number of transmitters, your class here, we usually run alpha. Then your power source, we usually run generator. Your power multiplier, we usually run 100 watts. And then all of this stuff down here, which usually takes a week or so to verify, because I have to email people and get their answers back. And so there's that. And then down here, you type in the number of QSOs you made on each band and how much power you used. And then here...
Will the software tell you that, or do you have to? Okay.
I'll show you that in a second. This is where you're going to export a file from N3FJP and send it to them. So you're going to go here and write Cabrillo contest submit file. Now, we did really poorly this year. We only got one contact.
I don't even know if he's a real station.
Yeah.
He could be a bootlegger.
So we're going to write the file out here, and that's just saved in the same directory as all the other N3FJP stuff. And this is where it tells you what to type in on that website. So this is the grid that goes in on that website. And then we're going to go back here. So again, we're just going to go to Documents, Affirmatech, N3FJP, ARL Field Day, and this is the file we just created. This is the file that we need to upload on that website. So I'm not going to do it because they're going to think I'm weird submitting a log file in March. But anyway, and then you're going to do the same thing for the GOTA station. So in that case, we would need a whole separate log. I don't know if it actually requires you to submit the log for GOTA.
It doesn't look like there's a place to open it.
Yeah, probably not. Anyway, and then down here is where I type in my name, my call sign, my email address as a way to sign it and say, yeah, we're not lying about this.
And then what's the deadline? How soon after field day is it due?
So where you're going to find that out here is Field Day Rules and Resources. And so this is where what I have to do every year, go find out when the deadline is so I don't screw it up again. Let's see. Field day, here we go. Field day entry, results submission deadline.
Okay,
so
Tuesday, July 20. Okay.
So it gives me nearly a month to do it, and so I feel really bad about that one year where I really screwed it up, and I'm sorry. Any other questions? Rachel, did you have a real question this time? Nope. Tom?
So, I know with Field Day you're using the W7SU, but I know in some logging softwares it allows you to still leave W7SU as a station, but then can keep track of who's actually operating the radio. Control operator.
Yeah.
Is that necessary, or is that?
So I don't think they care about that so much in the Field Day log. Oh, yeah, I forgot about this part. He thanks you for using the software after you export the log. So you can go up here in N3FJP. There's an operator button, and you can type in your name and your initials, and I'm guessing that gets added into the database and eventually maybe into the log. I'm not sure. Maybe that also helps you keep track of how many people actually operated. So there's that. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and also it kind of would be like, okay, then like, okay, I can have like bragging rights. Well, this is how many I worked during Field Day. How many did you work during Field Day?
Break out by,
Kind of make it a competition within a competition with clubs.
Sure.
And support people actually, getting on the microphone and talking.
Yeah. We haven't used that in the past. We usually leave those fields blank, but by all means, if you're running the radio or logging or whatever and you want to put that in there, that's fine. Usually we have two people, one working the radio and one working the laptop at the same time. There's only room in here for one set of information, so maybe you could type in 2 names and 2 sets of initials. I don't know. But if you want to use it, go ahead. I don't mind. Also, I think since COVID, they've had rules where you can work from home but have your score added to the club's score. And I don't know if I'd have to go read the rules. I don't know if they're still doing that this year, but that is something they've done in past years. And the person who does that does not use the club's call sign. They use their own call sign, but then when they submit their log, there's a field in there that says, hey, what club do you want this to be affiliated with? And so you type in our club name. So
if you did that, would you have to, our club usually on Field Day runs 2 radios, would you have to add in the other radios?
I don't think so. Well, I'll have to read the rules again. Since it's actually a whole separate log file for a whole separate person under a different call sign, I think the club can still just say it's 2 alpha, but I'll have to read the rules again just to double check. Because I think they had some special things that set up so that, here's another person off site, and so it's kind of part of the club's log and kind of not part of the club's log. I'm not sure, but anyway.
At the time you're logging that, you may not even know that the other party is doing it.
Correct. Yeah. Yep.
You couldn't account for it.
Yeah, I mean, if someone is homesick, thrown up, but they still want to contribute somehow, maybe they're doing that. Any other questions before we wrap up?
Could I, just a tidbit?
Yeah.
I've used AC in 3 FJP's AC log, which is the non-contest log, my whole life. And it's wonderful. And just a tidbit of information. Recently I got a QSL card in the mail, and it was dated for a QSO that happened in 1983. Couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So, pull up AC log, type in that, and there it is, sure enough.
There you go.
So I sent him a paper QSL card.
Yeah. So there's a benefit to logging your contacts. You can send QSO cards for stuff that happened decades ago. Rachel?
So if you're at home but you use the club's call sign, you can give them contacts?
Well, if you're running from home, you're going to use your own call sign.
So you would be separate from the club, though?
Right, but there's usually a place in the log submission. Maybe they got rid of it for this year. I don't know. Oh, yeah, club or group name right here. So you can type it in here. So we just do W7SU, And right there, Ogden Amateur Radio Club. So, yes?
How many logbook databases are there out there? Is there one that everybody uses?
You mean how many different logging programs?
No, just like databases, like the same QSL cards. Confirm you contacted somebody.
So you're talking about more like Logbook of the World or EQSL or QRZ.com. I don't know.
There's a couple of really big ones like Logbook of the World and QRZ and EQSL, and then there's like, this is different though because this is just logging software for like contests.
There are also QSL managers, dozens of them. Like there are certain places in Europe that the only way to get a QSL card is to go through that QSL.
Through their bureau.
Yeah.
I was wondering if there's like a de facto one that everybody uses or.
No, that'd be nice.
Well, it seems like a lot of people use Logbook of the World and a lot of people use QRZ. So, you know, if you want to submit your log to those places, there's two. EQSL is a third one. So, and I think a lot of logging software will kind of automate the submission process for you. So, like if you have everything set up with your trusted QSL program for Logbook of the World, I'm guessing N3FJP probably does this. It's probably just a matter of clicking a button and it uploads that to Logbook of the World for you.
Yeah.
So
QRZ does that really easy.
Yeah. So if you're logging to 3 different services, it may be a matter of clicking 3 different buttons instead of just one. So.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions?
Cool.
All right.
A couple things to add on to this. One of the reasons we do this is because it gives us. You plug me in back.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to use that in a second. It gives us experience with our radios, and as Justin was talking about in contesting, you know, they get right down to business. It's not just QSIS. Well, if we were in an actual event and we were doing emergency communications, we would want to be in that mode. And so it helps us sort of get into that mode for that as well. One of the other things we can do to that I find fun, which is where I would rather be today than here. Right now, there's a major food drive going on. And in several locations, we have radio operators that are helping the food drive folks know what the status is of each of these drop-off locations, whether they need more containers to be able to put it in, and when they're taking trucks down into wherever the receptacle is for it. We also have things like marathons and bike races, bike rides, all that good stuff. There we go. I just want to show you utahsag.org, which, okay, it's taken up all of that, but let's... They finally got their website back. Mickey was running the organization for all these years, and when he became a silent key, unfortunately, he took most of the information with him in his head. And getting back to the financial stuff, getting onto the website, being able to do a lot of other things, as well as many of the contacts he had with other organizations, kind of went with him. But you can go and look out here to find different things that are going on. Let's see, upcoming events, just for fun. And you can register with these. Right now they're advertising pretty heavily for the Salty Lizard Gravel Race. So it's out in the West Desert, I believe. And they could use help on that. The Salt Lake City Marathon, they're always looking for help for those folks. Provo City Half Marathon, Wild Horse Ride. Little Red's a big one they do, and of course there's Field Day. I was looking for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation does a big one up in Morgan Summit County as well. That's their main fundraiser for the year. And these folks have been associated with that for quite a long time. But I'd highly recommend going and if you got a free Saturday sometime, take a look. And it's a lot of fun to do those. It's great to be able to use your radios and to help out, just to serve folks with it. So, with that, any other business for our meeting today? Next month, the theme of the meeting will be HF remote base operations. Marvin, who is the president of the Utah Amateur Radio Club, now lives in North Ogden. He's part of our club. Comes to breakfast with us on Wednesdays these days. He's got some folks. I think he's going to get one of the engineers to come and talk to us about the remote base down in Leamington. Evan uses it a lot. He loves it. So Evan's going to talk to us about how he uses it and what it does for him too. So it's going to be a great opportunity for us. April will be our last meeting here for a while. Because in May we'll be out at Golden Spike. June is field day. July we'll do a tea hunt. August is the steak fry. September is the Tri-Club swap meet in Bountiful at the city park down there. We'll be back here in October for our annual auction. And then November we'll have a regular club meeting. So Don's sitting here thinking, man, I don't have anything to do till November now. This is great. And then December, we have our family Christmas party, and we'll be away again, and then we'll start back in January, and we'll be here for a while. So that's sort of our schedule for the next little while. Please, let's look at this too, because hello.
The harder everyone stares at the webmaster, the slower, the faster it goes. It's a good website. It's just busy right now.
Well,
look, 1 million Chinese hackers are busy.
We have a denial of service attack here going. I tried to log in, so
they're going after.
We're running on a Pi, to be fair. Okay, this isn't on the on any of the national places. Well, we'll get that fixed because it may just need to be restarted or something. But I wanted to show you.
He'd like that, wouldn't he?
This happens on me all the time.
Yeah.
So you have to Google it?
Really?
You know, I've had that happen where if I put in the actual IP address, it'll work.
There you go.
There you go.
The Raspberry Pi comes through again.
Right here. Bylaws updated March 2025 proposed. There they are. Please take a look.
Scroll all the way to the bottom.
I think we have a change log at the bottom, actually. Find it.
So those are the items that we've changed, so you really don't have to read the whole thing unless you.
That'll at least point you to where you can look at it and see what's going on. Just for fun, and I don't remember all these, Val can keep us straight here, but we've added references to complimentary memberships. If you are a licensed operator under the age of 18, you get a complimentary membership until you're in your 18th year, and then you can pay the $15. If you are over 90 years old, you get a complimentary membership. So Evan's good. 93, sharp as a tack.
Hey.
Associate members, so folks with GMRS licenses can be associate members. Dependent children is part of our, can be associate members. And we've added, like I said, we've added a lifetime membership plan. And we have a lot of other things. I mean, we used to have references to an auto patch. We don't do that anymore, so that's gone. We had some misinformation. We had some fake news out there we got rid of. And a few things about finances and all that good stuff. One thing to note is if you participate in the lifetime membership, the same as if you've prepaid your dues, those funds are separated out in our account so that the funds are applied year by year as if you were paying them because it's already been prepaid. So that's how that works. Lifetime memberships are non-refundable. Just saying. So don't bother to put it in your family trust or in your will that, hey, I've got something else that, you can tax me on. So.
Hey, Craig, you might want to scroll all the way back up to section 2 or wherever it is.
On the membership? Right here. So a full membership is $15 like it's always been. We're a bunch of cheapskates here. So we've been trying not to ding you. Associate members are $10. Complimentary, of course, are $0. And this is what we've been proposing for lifetime memberships. So, tell us about...
As a treasurer, this is kind of interesting to me. To me, there are big changes in the membership, how we account for it. If you pay them multiple years, they go into a reserve fund, and they are not available until the year you've paid it. So you pay 5 years. You paid 1 year, goes in. The next year, $15 goes in. The next year, $15 goes in. So we're not going to be spending in the general fund the money that's reserved until we've earned it, until your membership is paid. If you become a lifetime member, there's a little difference there. A lifetime member, the money that they paid, in other words, the membership, the corpus, if you will, on the lifetime member is going into an encumbered fund. And it will stay there until the board says differently. The hope is the board will let it accumulate. And the money that is earned, money will be invested in the CD. Right now, our money goes into a checking account. It earns nothing. The trouble is the way the banks earn, you don't earn a whole lot no matter what you do. But the money in a lifetime membership will go into a CD. The money that's earned on that CD will stay with the corpus unless the board chooses to put it into the general fund to be used for operations. The hope is that the board will leave it there and we will eventually have enough corpus in the lifetime memberships that basically we won't, if we choose, we wouldn't have to pay any dues. The corpus would have enough money that we would be able to, from the earnings on the corpus, we would be able to operate for a year unless something special came up. That's kind of our long-range plan. The one difference that we have to be aware of is we've done away with a family membership, which means if it's a family member, a member is at $15. An unlicensed spouse is an associate, $10. That's the equivalent of a family membership.
the big change is, for instance, to me, Stan, it'll cost me $15 a year, a licensed member. It'll cost my wife $15 a year, a licensed member. So in effect, she's going to have to pay an extra $5 a year. Unless she becomes the member and I've been associate, then I have to pay an extra $5. So to me, we'll have 2 memberships. So we're going to pick up a great big $5 a year from licensed spouses. There's not too many of us, but there is enough, and it will be, that's a little factor you need to be aware of. But the main thing that really excites me is hopefully we will build up enough money that we will have a corpus that's earning enough money that on that earnings we can continue to supplement it, and we may be able to keep the dues $15 period. Right now, the only reason in my mind, the only reason we're really saying it's very solvent is our auction. If the auction dropped off, we would probably wind up having to increase dues. But, you know,
So we thank Justin for that, because anything you bring, he'll buy.
That's true.
And our sympathies to his wife.
I wanted to cover that because this concept of having a fund to earn income that we could put into operations or leave there and keep getting more funds is kind of that's a new concept to our club.
And we're pretty lean as a club. The Ogden Club, we're running in I just got the paper and I stashed it someplace, but our funds are right around $5,000-6,000 in our account a year. I'm a lifetime member of the Davis Club, and that club has got about 5 times that much money, and they've invested it, as we've been looking at. That club also has 8 stationary repeaters and 1 repeater trailer with 2 more mobile repeaters in it. And that's why they have so much money in there, is because if they ever had a catastrophic event and had to replace all of that equipment, it would take a lot of money to do it. We don't have that type of investment tied up at the moment. So, but we appreciate everybody being here, and
the other factor on just the membership, just before we go too far. Evan, for instance, he's prepaid. He's paid out till he's like 95 or 96. He's going to become what we call at 90 an honorary member, but he's not going to get a refund, but he's never going to have to pay dues again, but we're not going to get a refund. In my case, I pay 1 more year, and I prepaid some, and I pay 1 more year, and I'll hit my 90, so I'll pay 1 more year, and I will become a lifetime member. My wife, pardon me, Barbara, she'll pay 9 more years, and I will just, because in the plan, she's above the age where we have the plan. So we'll just pay 9 years for her, and she will become a lifetime member. So if you're in that little gap, approaching close to 90, but you're beyond where you just pay the number of years and you become a lifetime member. That's kind of confusing in a way, but I hope that makes some better sense to you.
Any questions on that? So what we're hoping is that next month in April, we're going to bring it to everybody, and we're hoping you'll approve it then, because if you wait until after August, I get a $100 break. So it costs me $100. So approve it so I can pay my extra $100 to the club. Okay? There you go. Anything else for us today?
Reminder: 10-meter folks meet over here in the side.
10-meter folks at the side. And we really appreciate Mike for everything he does for the club and has done. We're going to miss him for a year while he's gone. And we expect him to be back. And we hope that you get an HF rig going down there so we can still visit from time to time. So thank you. Really appreciate that. And everyone else, we appreciate you coming and being with us. So plan on your schedules for May 10th is the actual Celebration Day at Golden Spike, and that's when we'll be out there. It is a Saturday. And in June 28th and 29th, as we saw for Field Day, we'll be over at the park again. So plan on being there, and if you can, please come a little early and help us get set up. That would be really great. So, have a great one, and we'll see you again next month.
Yeah, thank you. You too. I guess we should have recorded that.